Absolutely. The easiest way, as you touched on, I think a bit earlier, is this principle of maturity, and maturity of relationship and maturity of partnership, and seeing how, a customer can go through that way in which they procure the bodies, in inverted commas, to complete a task or to complete a solution. And often, I mean, recruitment, let's face it, recruitment has never, it should be, I mean, bringing talent into an organization should be the top of most CEOs' agendas. It should be board level. It should have all of the most important heads in an organization either buying in or supporting that strategy. And it's often pushed down the list because it's not understood. It's too difficult. And you're right. The vehicle of how do we actually engage with talent is not not considered necessarily at the right point. The point of, we need to complete a task. How are the ways in which we can complete that task? What are they? What are the practicalities? What are we actually expecting from that task? To the point Tim was making, and so SOW has always been around. Statement of work has always been around, but the myth around you just have to write something down around a requirement and it's a statement of work is finding is absolutely not the answer, and it should be considered as a wholly appropriate and legitimate way of completing tasks, just as it is hiring a permanent member of staff, just as it is bringing a temp in or an interim or a contractor or whatever it may be. But the myth around how it's operate, I mean, we've seen over the last, IR35 is a trigger for this to have been considered, but it's not the reason to do it. And working with organisations that are able to, consider there's a different way of working now around the statement of work. There's a different method of working. There's a different time in which, or point at which something would get invoiced for because it's a completed task, and it's not last day of the month. It's not on a 4-week cycle. It's very much that outcome based. It's getting organisations to understand, that they would pay for consultancy from the big 5 on that very basis. They would pay for a software provision on the provision of an outcome. So that's well known, and lots of organisations use Big 5 all the time. So why isn't then the SOW of the same level of importance and bringing people in of the same level of importance to get that thinking of, when we get to the point of needing something done, what are the legitimate ways of doing it? And it's pushed SOW to very high on the agenda, as we all know, while we're talking. But I think there's still a lot of work to do for the providers to understand how it works. A lot of myths to get busted.